we're going to be asking and answering one question, and the more heckling you guys do, the more that you get involved, the more fun this will be. But the question we want to answer is, why will businesses fail if they fail to adopt Web3 and get into what's going on in the blockchain? But before we answer that question, let's take a quick snapshot. We have very little time. Just go down the row and introduce ourselves. Why don't we start down here?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the intro and thanks for emceeing. My name's Evan Vandenberg. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Dibs. We leverage blockchain technology to kind of solve the fractional problem. We apply it traditionally, or at least to date, to physical trading cards. So allowing people to trade on a much more liquid exchange for trading cards. Really trying to kind of create a much more accessible trading, collecting infrastructure for really kind of a whole new era of collectors.
My name's DiGregorio. I'm VP Partnerships at Dapper Labs. I know a lot of you are probably familiar with Dapper Labs from the NBA Top Shot perspective. I'm focused on helping third parties build on Flow blockchain, which we would refer to more as the Dapper platform side, and partners of all walks and various use cases, really helping them use the tools that we initially built for Top Shot.
I am Steve McGarry. I've been in the space since 2013, sold my first fintech company in 2015 to a PayPal founder, Max Levchin. Shout out to Max. And after that, started Grow Your Base with my business partner, John, who's here. And we are now, I think, the 8th or 9th largest landowner in the sandbox. And we're very focused on the metaverse. And this year, we actually rolled out a new initiative called the Sandstorm, which is a weekly event to highlight builders in the space. So if you guys are builders, send me a DM on Twitter, Sandstorm Meetup.
Nice. My name is Tom Bilyeu. I co-founded a company called Quest Nutrition, thank you, and another company called Impact Theory. And Impact Theory is a media company. We're trying to build the next Disney. And when we founded the company, I pulled the team aside and I said, look, they have a 90-year head start. They have billions of dollars in revenue and billions of dollars in IP. So we have a very big challenge ahead of us. And we need our moment of disruption. And that moment of disruption presented itself in the form of NFTs. 72 hours from hearing the letters NFT strung together, we had allocated millions of dollars in development and pivoted to doing everything through the lens of NFTs and the blockchain. So we're here to take shit over.
Hey everyone, I'm Keith Soljacich. I'm the head of innovation at Publicis Media, and I think this whole room does not know Publicis Media because this is a Web 3.0 room, but we're the biggest media company in the world, and we serve 1 in 3 ads you see. It's my job, though, to bring the brands we work with, like Samsung, Mondelez, Pizza Hut, into the Web 3.0 space without serving banner ads. There's a new way, there's a different way, and we're looking to, one, bring these brands on, get them authentic into the Web 3.0 space, but also partner with creators like you all, the platforms you're building and the dApps you're building. Let's use that to build the next stack, the Web 3.0 stack, to onboard the next 1 million, 5 million people onto blockchain. Let's do it the right way with the folks in this room.
Word. All right, so if you agree with the thesis, why are companies going to fail if they don't embrace the blockchain?
Yeah, happy to start. I read a New York Times article this morning. 68% of men making under $23,000 a year in this country, their largest expense was NFTs. So from pure economic standpoint, that is pretty wild. That blew my mind. I think you compound that with the fact that we're just increasingly spending more and more time in the digital world. Metaverse is obviously kind of the future of that. If you're not thinking about it, you're just going to miss out on, an unbelievably massive opportunity. So, on the most basic level, I'll let people give a little bit of nuanced insight, but yeah.
So I'll take a slightly different approach and say that what's happening right now is you've raised, call it 3 generations of people that played video games, training them on a gamified pattern of behavior in an aesthetic that is sort of cartoon, pop culture in nature, you've also got this friction that reads as friction between generations. I actually think it's something slightly different, but I heard it said that what's going on right now is a lot of anger is being built up around the fact that the previous generation, the boomers, refused to let go of power. And when I heard that, I thought, that is not true of human nature. Nobody lets go of power. You have to pry it out of people's cold, dead fingers. But we've historically lived through a period where being young meant that you could physically outwork the people that came before you. But now that's not so much a thing as everything is digitized. And so the animosity is building up because age, experience, and wisdom now, which are obtained typically over a long period of time, without the physicality of physical work in an information economy, they're able to cling to power. And so what's going on now is this moment of disruption where the real fissure becomes clear. And it's not a fissure between generations, it's a fissure between those who are open-minded and those who are closed-minded. And you tend to be more open-minded when you are young, and you tend to be more closed-minded as you're older. So now what's just happened, the reason that all this economics is pouring into the system is because people suddenly realize, oh, this is basically like a stock. It isn't just a collectible. There's really something more going on here. And it's in the form of an ape or a punk, something that the generations have been raised to understand. And so now they're able to move very quickly, understanding that value is being digitized at a freakish rate. Okay? The fastest adopted technology of all time in human history is Bitcoin. The only technology that shows a faster adoption curve than Bitcoin is Ethereum. So now you've got young people, open-minded, adopting this technology incredibly rapidly. They will see the world differently so fundamentally that if businesses don't adapt to that, they'll lose. And the final point on that is that the real revolution of Web3 is exactly this. I'll say it to you in a single sentence. The revolution is that the community now can capture the vast majority of the long tail economics of all the products and companies that they support. That is such a reversal of the way that business has always been done. Any company that fails to adapt to that will lose because every bit of creative energy will go into the companies that do embrace it.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that, and I love that concept, and I do like the idea of brands mimicking some of the successful community approaches that have already happened, like with Bored Apes. I think if you're a company in a traditional industry, you should be monitoring very closely what's going on with the transition from these 10K projects going into the metaverse. You should be watching that very, very closely, because the die-hard ride or die fans that I've met, the Diamond Hand Kongs out there, all the Animetas, all of those people, every brand should be very focused on that connection that these people have with the community. So I've seen a lot of companies kind of flop so far. There are some doing good. We'll talk about that a little bit later here, but there are some that I think have struggled with trying to monetize too quickly. And that's something that you can only really get through that slow, small mint price, like Cool Cats. You know, they started very low, and now at like a 10 ETH floor or whatever it's at. I think that low barrier to entry, and then just the community on top of it, is something that brands should really pay attention to. Like Adidas, you're going to be seeing a lot of things coming from Adidas very soon, and that's a pretty low barrier to entry. That's maybe a couple $100 for a pair of shoes, and what if that translates right into the metaverse? You can use those all throughout all metaverses. I think that is a really unique way of approaching community, and I've seen some successful ones like that, but I think Microsoft, I don't know if they're putting Excel in the metaverse. I know that guy was up here earlier talking about it, but I'm excited to see what they're doing, just to see how they can set a standard maybe for big companies.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that, you know, Dapper Labs does have a reputation for not just being a home for the crypto natives, but also for more mainstream users. And for us, it really is about accessibility. You see that in the way we have low transaction fees, low storage fees, you know, for example, credit card on-ramps through Dapper Wallet. But if you're talking specifically about Web3, I feel like for us, it's a natural extension of that. openness and interoperability is very important for us. And I think that, I was having a conversation with Keith right before coming on stage talking about, we're thinking about how do we get the next 5 million users into this space. It's about education, it's about accessibility, and so I think that Web3 is very important to that easy access, use one account across multiple dApps, and specifically, it's something that is very important to us as a company.
And you have a really unique background coming from YouTube. What do you think about like entertainment, the entertainment industry getting into the metaverse and NFTs?
Yeah, I mean, we actually had a FlowFest panel a couple weeks ago where we kicked off FlowFest. I was asked a similar question, and it's something for media companies to kind of get their hands around in terms of user access, especially when you're looking at Flow blockchain where users' access, their assets actually live in their own accounts, because our Cadence programming language is a resource-oriented programming language. It's a very different concept than the digital locker. Entertainment companies have spent decades being very comfortable with the digital locker concept, where you own your content, but it's actually sitting in a digital locker, and you don't really know when that digital locker might go away. And so I do think that it's a learning curve and a next step to embrace that openness for entertainment companies. But I think that they read the writing on the wall, and they see what's happening in the space, and it's very important for them to adapt, and they're working towards that.
Yeah, and the consumer experience is changing, right? And we've all been home. I'm glad to see everybody out and in real life, but certainly the 18 months we spent at home retrains everyone's brain to think about digital experience in a way that didn't mean a Facebook post or a Twitter post, okay? This is not just content that goes up and down and left and right. This is immersive and experiential. And in the Web 2.0 world, in the brands that we work with at Publicis Media, we were utilizing awareness, right, and reach to find the shotgun approach to reach as many people as we can, and hopefully within that subset be as targeted as we could to find our audience. That will not apply in the Web 3.0 world. We need to build brand love instead of brand awareness. And to me, NFTs is the foundation for building brand love. So whether a brand is going to buy a CryptoPunk and essentially say, hey, we're in the community now and we want to collab together, we want to work together, or if they're developing their own products, they've got to build brand love back up from the ground floor. It's not going to work the same. You can't just assume the audience you were reaching before is going to be the audience there for you tomorrow. So this exchange of value, exchange of utility in the form of digital collectibles, NFTs, wearables, metaverse experiences, access tokens is the new way ahead. And if you're not a brand and you're not thinking about how you can utilize this exchange of value, the access tokens into your world or authentically going into your world, you're going to be left behind. And someone's going to disrupt you, and hey, that's on you, because you could have been here at NFT.NYC learning about it.
How many entrepreneurs do we have in the crowd? All right, right now, decide. You're going to get, in like 9 seconds, I'm going to ask you to ask a question. I want to know, what is the hardest shit you have in your mind? What is the thing you fear most? You came here for a reason. You're trying to use NFTs some way in your business. There's something that's holding you back. You're not quite sure how to approach it, whatever the question may be. If you've got it, stand up, bark it out, and we will answer it.
It's like a Twitter space in real life. Just
there
throw
it
out.
Fire away.
Monetizing and not feeling guilty about monetizing personally.
All right, great question. So how do you monetize and not feel guilty? And we'll be rapid fire on these so we can get to as many questions as we can. We have 8 minutes and 40 seconds. So here's the key. You have to figure out what your community wants from you, and then find a way to deliver it that is far better than anybody else in the world. So for instance, Impact Theory. We just launched our Founders Keys. Now, the trick is, did well, smashed, made a gaggle of money. But we did it because I spent the last 5 years building a business. Impact Theory is 5 years old. So I spent an insane amount of time, energy, and money to build content that I gave away for free, knowing the thesis at the beginning was, I'm going to change people's lives. Some of them will, when they see me, have this feeling of, you made my life better. And so whatever product you do, I'm going to take that leap of faith with you. So then when we launched a project, we gave an overwhelming amount of value. And here's how to think about value. There is only one path to success. I'm going to stand up for this shit. There is only one path to success, exactly one, and it goes like this. Set the bar low so that you can surpass expectations, right? Fuck that. The path to success is exactly this. Set the bar ridiculously high and then surpass all expectations. That's it. You have to leave people in awe. So you have to create a product that leaves people in awe, that you fucking dazzle them with the value that you create. And what I told holders of the Founder's Key is, you will, a year from now, 5 years from now, giggle to yourself because you cannot believe how little you paid to get this thing.
Tom, you nearly covered the whole topic. One last slice in there is monetization is not a one and done. It's not you've now offered that back to your community and now you can go away. It's about building on that, building on what you first did to say, okay, now let's 2x that, let's 3x that, let's diversify that. It doesn't have to be one thing for one to many. It can be many to many. So I would say, now how can you get personalized, offering everybody in your community something that's special to them?
And I'll chime in, since we have Evan from Dibs here, is that because you have group buying, fractionalization options, that can be very community driven and make something that is even highly monetized feel accessible to users. I think that that's something that you don't have to feel guilty about. You're running a business, you're providing value, and there are other options out there to make users feel that they can still contribute and participate.
You have a question? Fire away.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, all of you. I own the legendary Founders Key, so I'm happy to be in the team. I think monetization will come as a result of providing value. And you already talked about how to provide value, but could you expand on that? How do I provide value to my community?
Evan has an amazing insight on this.
How do you provide value to community, right? I mean, look, I think Tom really hit this whole thing on the head, and you know, we'd prep some other questions, going to go down a different route, but this whole thing is built around the supporters in the community, right? Like, I'm not saying that just to, you know, that's what everyone wants to hear. Like, think about how crazy this shit is, right? Like, finally, you actually get to be an owner of these things. You spend your life, you know, supporting whatever it may be, right? Think about gaming, right? Like, game my whole life. What's, like, no offense to Call of Duty, but like, what's the last thing they did for me, right? Like, I've been giving money to that thing, ripping open, you know, boxes and loot crates with absolutely zero opportunity to like participate in any upside, right? I guess I could buy the stock, but like, that's not fun. Like, that's different, right? And it's super cool to see what people are doing now, and right, and like, and I'm not even just saying like what Dibs is doing and others, but you can, I mean, look at Bored Ape Yacht Club. I've seen this guy in the sweatshirt here, but like, you can get involved, you can actually be a part of every piece of this, right? You get access to things, you are part of the team, you are not just this end consumer. So I think that anything you do to create value is going to leverage that, right? It's going to be, how do I bring these people in and make them a part of this thing, right? In the most meaningful way, both, you know, from, it doesn't just have to be money, right? It can be all sorts of things. So I don't want to kill all of our time.
Yeah, and I'll build on top of that, where what you have with even Tom's project is a group of people that all own those, and you could even build a business around that, saying, I'm going to do a podcast once a week about the Founder's Key for these people that all hold it, and providing value just like that, just some time that you spend each week, can really tap into that community, and then you have your own little micro community and build a business on top of it. So there's free things that you can do at zero cost, but just your time, and can really make an impact.
What's the path of being discovered by your customers, especially in a saturated or noisy environment, like nutritional products or fast scaling NFTs?
Your product has to be real. So I always wish that the answer to that question was just be a good person, put love and joy out into the world, and that's all that it takes. But it's not. You have to be business savvy, and you have to have a product that actually works, so that without you even encouraging them, people want to tell other people about it. So at Quest, it was, hey, this is a protein bar that you can actually choose based on taste, and it happens to be good for you. All the other bars on the market either were healthy and tasted like sawdust, or tasted great but were chock full of sugar. And so our marketing message was, this is the first protein bar that isn't a candy bar in disguise. And so we knew we were in a position where our only problem was awareness. And so we gave the product away like crazy because I knew it would work. I knew you'd be stoked to eat it and that it would help you attain your goals. Same thing with impact theory, right? I'm actually trying to change your life. So we put out a university, we create content, we give it away for free. And by the way, if you take the advice, it will actually change your life. And so when you get enough of that, you're not telling people about it because I want you to. You're telling people about it because you built a company off the back of it. It helped you improve your relationship, whatever. And now people become evangelists.
And I want to ask the crowd here for something. In bringing brands to blockchain, okay, two things. One, be hard on brands that enter the space. Don't stop being hard on them, okay? They're learning and they're trying to figure it out. So by being hard on them, you're training the next brand what not to do. But at the same time, I'm going to ask you to be critical about the brands that are entering the blockchain space. Before just jumping in and say, oh, brand X is entering, that must mean it's authentic. Dig in, understand what they're actually trying to do, because there's folks out there that are advising these brands very strategically to enter the space authentically. So two things. One, be hard on them, but two, be critical and actually dig in and see, are they entering the space authentically?
Oh, I need a question from the person in blue here.
Tom, I've been following impact theory since day one, 5 years ago. It has
Thank you.
changed my life. I've just launched a podcast 2 weeks ago about crypto, but I'm wondering, how do you decide who you bring on your show? How do you find such compelling?
It really is who's real. And this one I can't stress enough. There are going to be agents and managers. She wants to know how do you decide who to bring onto your podcast. So there's going to be agents and managers, everybody pitching you who you should bring on, but you should have a thesis, right? And if your thesis is, look, this is the greatest wealth transfer of our time. There are people that have historically been left out of this. Let's just say women, right? This is my wife's whole thing. She's so focused on this. And if we know that's true, now this is do or die, right? So if it's true you can get good at anything you put your time and energy into, how you spend your time becomes a spiritual consideration. The same is true on your podcast. Who you say yes to is like a question of what's going to do the most value to your mission. And so if you really get in there and ask the hard fucking question about, is this person legit? If people listen to their advice, will their life be better? And that's it. For sure. Sure.
Thank you, NFT.NYC.
All right.
Are we good? Oh,
You guys have one last bit of insight you want to leave anybody with?
Well, I wanted to go back to this question really quickly, and I would say, important thing that I've seen working on the Flow blockchain side of Dapper Labs is really cross-promotion and cross-pollinization, if you will, which especially takes advantage of that Web3 openness, the ability to, going back to CryptoKitties, Dapper Labs saw so much activity of people building dApps on top of CryptoKitties, or allowing, special features with CryptoKitties built into their own dApps. You could buy hats for your CryptoKitties, and then you could sell it off with, the wares that you had acquired for them. So that's what I would say, more like cross-pollinization. And then I would also say cross-promotion, just in terms of, we see tons of developers kind of banding together and figuring out how that they can support each other. Our Discord community is very active. And I think that is the way to really build each other up and really help get attention, given how much activity is happening in the space.
Yeah, I'll leave you guys with 2 quick points. I think you've just heard a ton of good stuff today. I just first and foremost want to tell you guys, dude, I won't swear, how effing cool this whole thing is. You are here for such a cool moment in time. I've been in this space for a long time, in NFT world, and this is insane. Walk through Times Square, you are a part of something sick right now, and I am leaving here energized. So I want to say thank you to everybody coming through. Also, thank you, Tom, for emceeing this, man. I want to see you do way more spokesmanship for this space.
Yeah.
You got my shit fired up, and I'm sitting on the panel with you, so thank you.
And I'll say buy land and Sandbox.
There it is. Guys, You're living through something that has never been seen before in human history. Please take advantage. Go learn. Go get good. The rest will take care of itself. Peace out, everybody. So word.
Build, build, build.